I am delighted to welcome today's guest, Jay Fairbrother. He's a friend and colleague with over 30 years' experience starting, buying, and selling seven-figure businesses. He's got an incredible story that you're all going to want to hear. After losing everything, that's in caps, in the 2010 financial crisis, Jay rose from the shame to shine as what he is known as today, the mastermind guy. Welcome to our show. How are you, Jay?
Hi, Alana. Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be
Yeah.
here.
So I think share with us your story and how you ended up getting into this world of masterminds.
Yeah, so I'll start it with my first company, which I started 30 years ago. I was fairly successful right out of the gate in building that company. I pretty quickly grew it to a seven-figure business, but I got stuck there. I kind of plateaued at seven figures, and I hired coaches and consultants and read all the business books, and I couldn't seem to figure out how to, take it beyond that sort of $1 million range. And that's when I joined my very first mastermind. So that was 25 years ago.
Oh,
And
goodness.
yeah, I'm at an age where I can barely remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I still remember walking out of that first meeting 25 years ago and saying to myself, oh my God, I found my tribe. Like after one meeting, I knew these people got me, they were me, they had the similar challenges and frustrations. So that first mastermind I joined, it was a mastermind for entrepreneurs. And we joined it simply to grow our businesses and become better entrepreneurs, right?
Sure.
But what happened is within 5 or 6 months in these meetings, I'm starting to watch grown men break down and cry. And as they open up and talk about their messed up marriages, kid problems, the anxiety and depression of that running the business is creating. And this was not what we signed up for.
Yeah.
But for me, as an adult, it was really my first real experience with that level of human connection. I didn't even have that with my family. And so I was all in. And I started joining every mastermind I could over the next several years, started facilitating them, eventually creating them. And as a result, my business took off. So over those next several years, I grew the business to $10 million in annual revenue. And I was fortunate enough to sell it in 2004. And life was good. Yeah,
Sounds good. Yeah.
yeah, you sell an eight-figure business, life gets good. So I invested in a lot of different things. I traveled extensively. I bought three other businesses. Things were going along swimmingly, but sometimes when your life is going along swimmingly, stuff out of your control happens. So in 2008, the what started the world financial crisis, the
Yeah.
Great
Oh, I
Recession.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between 2008 and 2012, I lost everything
Oh,
and quite literally went, multimillionaire living in a mansion overlooking one of the rivers of Pittsburgh to living in my friend's basement.
oh, that is a big shift.
Yeah, broke, bankrupt, divorced, alone,
Oh,
and really, humiliated and ashamed
yeah.
because I didn't, blame the world financial crisis on my situation. I made decisions that ultimately led to, over those 4 years, it was kind of like watching a toilet bowl flush. And the water starts to swirl, only it takes like 3 years for the water to empty out of the bowl until there's nothing left.
Mm,
And what happened is I hid in that basement. I lived in the basement literally for 5 months, but figuratively more like 5 years, because for 15 years I had built this identity as this really successful serial entrepreneur. And there I was in that basement. I didn't even own a car.
Wow.
So obviously that was a pretty tough time. And I quit almost everything that I was involved in. I left relationships and friendships and groups and some of the masterminds that I was in, but I stayed in one. And it would happen to be that first one that I joined. I stayed in that mastermind through that time period, and those people supported me in ways I can't even articulate. Went way beyond a basement to live in and a car I could borrow for several months. Their support emotionally, spiritually, financially is probably the only reason that I'm still sitting here today, is because I had that tribe, I had that community of people supporting me and helping me get through that period. So the answer to your question is, the reason that I am the mastermind guy now, and it's my passion, is because masterminds literally helped me 10x my first business and save my life during the most difficult time period I had.
It's a remarkable story in the drastic polarities of success and failure, right? But here you are today, and you are known as the master of masterminds. So congratulations, and I'm grateful you're here. You're a beautiful soul. I've gotten to meet you in person, not just here on screen and on audio. Um, can you share with the audience exactly what a mastermind is, and maybe how it's shifted, if it has shifted since 25 years ago as today, and what it is that you teach?
Yeah, so in our industry of thought leaders, healers, coaches, speakers, a lot of what is labeled a mastermind is really just glorified group coaching. And if you go back to the origination of the term, Napoleon Hill coined the term mastermind like 90 years ago. And his concept was really simple. You put one person with a brain in a room, second person with a brain, and it creates this third invisible, intangible force that he labeled the mastermind. So if you imagine putting 8 to 14 brains in the same room, the size of that invisible, intangible force, when you tap into the collective experience, collective knowledge, and collective wisdom of everybody in the room. So that's the original Napoleon Hill concept of a mastermind, that small cohort, people who stay together. That first mastermind that I joined and stayed in through that time, I actually stayed in that mastermind for 17 years,
Hmm.
because every month I got value from being in that community and having not just that mastermind, but many of the people that I've been in masterminds with over the years, I refer to as my brothers and sisters, because in some respects I'm closer to them than some of my own family. So there's a lot of sort of misconception around what the mastermind is, because people label group coaching programs as masterminds because it's a little sexier and they can charge more money. So the key principles in what distinguishes a mastermind from group coaching, say, it's about the relationships with the people in the program. So it's transitioning from a one to guru relationship, which is what you have in most courses, group coaching, where it's all about the guru and they're on the stage. And it's deliberately and very intentionally creating relationships with the people in the program going through it together, so that you tap into that Napoleon Hill invisible, intangible force. So that's kind of one of the ways, and there's many sort of keys and nuances to creating that container so that you get people opening up and talking about the real stuff going on in their lives, not just sort of the surface level Q&A that we see in the group coaching or courses and that kind of thing.
Beautiful. It's a great explanation. And this reminds me of my days when I was the program director of a technology business incubator. And I used to put on the programs. I was the director, right? So one of them was a luncheon, a monthly luncheon, where I would recruit a speaker on some topic that's important to start your business, whether that's PR or um, financial, legal. And then I also started a program called the CEO Roundtable. And I don't know that I knew exactly what I was doing, but I was creating a mastermind. And what was fascinating was this group of primarily men um, started to open up because they had such a hard time communicating anyway. You know, they're techies, nerds, absolute, right? So I found that I was very effective in helping them to open up. And they would leave the room with new partnerships. And like you said, this ability to cry and actually say, wow, yeah, it looks like it's really going great on the outside, but I'm not sleeping because I can't pay my payroll this month without, putting my house up for whatever, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's really beautiful. Do
Yeah,
you have a
that
comment
and
on that?
that's not a discussion that you can have even often with your spouse or partner. Like you can't come home, how was work today, honey? Oh, it was great. You can't say like if I don't find $20,000 in the next 10 days, the whole thing's coming crashing down because we can't meet payroll, right? Like
Yeah.
because you don't want to share that with the people you're closest to for them to share in the fear and how close things are at any moment to crashing or yeah. So the what's amazing is when you're intentional about it, how quickly people will open up. And I have a lot of my clients are healers and life coaches and mindset coaches, not just business coaches. And often they say to me, like, no, the stuff I do is so personal, like people will not do it in a group. And I challenge that thought because of what I've seen in 25 years of being in groups like this. That it's not going to happen automatically, and it takes effort and time, because when you create a group like this, it's all about creating the container, creating psychological safety. So there has to be respect for each other, there has to be trust, there has to be confidentiality. And when you sort of package that all together, that's where you'll see, and there's a group dynamic that develops in each mastermind. Sometimes it takes a few months, sometimes it takes longer, where you'll see the walls start to come down, the masks start to drop, the egos staying outside of the room. But that's not something that usually happens, in your first couple of meetings, because everyone's got their guard up a little bit. Do I trust these people? And so it really is, there's some nuances to creating a container to allow for that kind of deep transformation.
Absolutely. And as you were talking, I was thinking about emotional intelligence, and that's really what we're tapping into, isn't it? In a mastermind, would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's like peeling the layers of the onion back. It's getting to those sort of deeper levels of conversation because there's trust and safety in the conversation.
So you call yourself the six-figure mastermind guy. How can you turn my courses into, or maybe it's not courses. If I were to launch a mastermind that I already have completely built, completely planned out, But I'm like one of these holistic, I'm a mindfulness coach, right? An energy healer and an author, and I'm not really sure how to go about it. How do I turn my business or my idea into six figures? What do you do to teach people like me, and I'm sure many of the listeners and viewers, to do what you do?
So, I have programs. I actually have a course that is very linear and step by step on how to create and launch and fill a mastermind in 60 days. But honestly, the best place to start is I do 3 day virtual events. I do them 3 times a year. And the events are designed to help you come in and figure out what is the right kind of mastermind to create. Because that's another sort of misconception out there, that there's kind of a cookie cutter approach to creating a mastermind. And my approach is more like putting pieces of a puzzle together, because you want to take advantage of your superpowers and strengths, deliver the most client transformation that you can within a 6 or 12 month period, and and then to be able to understand how to the nuances of marketing it so that you can fill it easily by creating that exclusivity and scarcity. I'm inviting you into my inner circle, that kind of thing. So the 3 day event that I do, it's actually perfect for somebody who's just starting out, because it gives them a vision and a roadmap for a simple business model that they can build without needing all the high tech fancy sales funnels and a huge email list and all of that kind of stuff. The 3 day event also works really well, though, for more experienced people who may be ready to literally walk out of the 3 day event and start talking about their mastermind program. So it's a very experiential event, and we've had amazing comments. Like, people have said they feel like a different person after the 3 days, and yeah, we just it's my favorite. The 3 day event is my favorite thing that I do now, because of the transformations that I see in people over the 3 days.
So, two questions on that, because I know many people who would be interested in this. And how do we find out when they are, and how do we register? And is it a reasonable price, or is it going to send us all to our cousin's basement to live?
You don't have to live in a basement now.
Good.
No, so the ticket price is intentionally very small to for the 3 day events. It's like $47. Um,
Oh, wait. Okay. Did everyone hear that? It's $47. That's it.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, because part of my mission is to educate the world about the power of masterminds. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think every person should be in a mastermind, let alone entrepreneurs. And so we intentionally keep the price of that 3 day event really low. But what it is it's an investment of time, because this isn't the type of event that you can just kind of pop in and out of, or, show up for, come for one day. In fact, what we see is a lot of people sort of will say, like, yeah, I'll come for the first day and check it out. And they end up rearranging their calendar for the next couple of days because of the
Yeah.
value they're getting. So yeah, it's my belief is that there there's no point at which it's not a good idea to see if this model will work for you, and if you can figure out what's the right formula for you, not Jay's formula or anyone else's, but what's the right formula for you to put those pieces of a puzzle together to go, yes, I can create this high-end program, high ticket program that people will sign up for, a 6 or 12 month initial commitment, But the other beauty of masterminds, especially for building a business as a thought leader, is if you build it correctly, develop those relationships, the program doesn't end in 6 or 12 months.
Yeah.
That's renewal time. And so that's why one of my main taglines is attract and keep clients for 3 years, not 3 months.
3 years, not 3 months. And that's what we all want. And so it's really beautiful. It's about relationship building. Um, so let me just take a look at this. Fewer, better, longer mastermind model. What is that?
So that concept's very simple. It's making more money and having more client impact with fewer clients. It's attracting a better quality client, the ones who actually show up and do the work and get the amazing client transformations that we can provide, and keeping them longer so that you can not have that client churn of, you have this amazing experience with a client, they go through your program that's 3 months long and then they're gone, right? Or it's like a struggle to, get them to something else. So that you position it right from the start, that, like I tell my clients when they come into my mastermind, like, I expect you to be here for 3 years.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. And we're doing it. Like I do walk my talk.
I believe it. Yeah, I've been in a number of masterminds, um, sometimes too many. But it's such a wonderful way to connect with like-minded individuals, people who have similar intentions, values, and in the similar business, so that you don't feel alone as a solopreneur or as an entrepreneur. And coaches are. We are all entrepreneurs. Um, I had another question for you, Jay. Oh, I know. So you create these masterminds, you teach masterminds. Do you also coach one-on-one? Is that like part of the mastermind, or is that just completely separate?
Yeah. So for me, I do one-on-one coaching for very high level, mid 6, 7 figure entrepreneurs that just don't need help with, how to do a funnel and how to do all the sort of the foundational stuff, but just really want to just get some concentrated VIP time. But mostly the only one-on-one I do is I have it's an add-on to joining my year-long client mastermind, where certain people who obviously pay a premium for that get my one-on-one help in addition to being in my client mastermind. And that's often the way, like even the thing I mentioned a minute ago with a lot of mindset healers, et cetera, where they're concerned that their people are gonna not open up. That's one of the things that you can do when you design the program, is that you can add some one-on-one time in so that they feel like they're still going to get that personal attention. There's, especially at the beginning where they're not, they're a little shy to open up, where they're going to be able to talk about the deeper personal stuff with you. And that's just an example of why a cookie cutter approach doesn't work, because some people should include that one-on-one as part of the package. Some people can create it as an add-on like I do. And then part of the puzzle pieces is figuring out as thought leaders, how much of the program is, how much is there still content and training, how much of coaching and mentoring is part of the program versus how much is really masterminding, where your role in that moment is facilitator, right? Where you're
Yeah.
really your job in running the mastermind is to tap into that invisible, intangible force, right? So, so for me, I have three masterminds that I run. I have an in-person local mastermind for entrepreneurs here in Pittsburgh. I have a peer mastermind. Now, the peer mastermind is not a high ticket program because this is me creating a mastermind of my peers who all are in a similar situation in our businesses and similar markets and that kind of thing. I put a cost to it because it's important people have skin in the game, and they so that they don't, like if you belong to something free, often it's, any excuse that comes up, you're easy to say like, so I put a cost to it, so that there is commitment. So that's my peer mastermind. And then and the reason I thought to say this is because in that peer mastermind, my job is primarily facilitator. In
Okay.
other words, they're not joining the peer mastermind to learn from me, to be coached by me, to be mentored by me. Not that we don't do some of that in that, but my primary role is facilitator. Whereas in my client mastermind, they are depending on me for some training, some coaching, and some mentoring. And so it's a matter of how do you pull in all of those, it's like which hat you're wearing for what percent of the time in the program. And that's all part of sort of building it out in the first place.
So interesting. I love it. I love it. And I'm eager to sign up all 3 days of your upcoming mastermind virtual weekend. Um, before you share how to get to that, I just wanted to mention the word community is coming up for me. And I think more and more and more that community is so important in our lives, especially with this technical way of living. It's beautiful because I get to see you, and you're in another state. People get to view us and listen to us from all over the world, but it does make things awfully uh, less than intimate. And so the mastermind really is an opportunity, like you said, to be in a private group where you feel seen and heard and recognized and accepted and valued. And it is confidential, and it is a place where you can not just share about the payroll, but the divorce that might be lurking in the
Yeah.
background, because it's all connected. It's the body, the mind, the spirit. It's the work life, the home life, and the personal life. So, super grateful that you've been here to share the value of and the architecture of a mastermind. And that's how you and I met, through a mastermind. I
Yeah.
love it. So, how can the audience find out more about you at your website if you want to share that with them?
Yeah. So the website is sixfiguremasterminds.com.
And is
Um,
that spelled out, the six?
you can get there either way.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, and then I'm very easy to find on the internet, Jay Fairbrother on LinkedIn or Facebook, if you want to connect. And I think we have the link. I think we'll put for as a gift for everyone is my PDF and video training on the fewer, better, longer mastermind model.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, so that is, an easy also way to sort of, get pulled into the world so that you get notices on when the next 3 day events are, or the course opportunities, that kind of thing.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Jay. So, everyone, go to the show notes. There will be a link for Jay's free gift and his website, how you can contact him. And he is all over social media providing fabulous counsel and communication. Any last words, Jay?
If it's all right, I'll plug my magazine, which
Sure.
is starting. So I am also starting the Scalable Coach magazine, and that is a magazine where the only thing in the monthly issues are stories of from successful coaches on certain themes where they have struggled and figured it out. And so it's their sort of personal, raw, vulnerable stories, kind of like mine, for how coaches have overcome certain things. So I'm really excited about the magazine, and it'll be free to subscribe. And again, get into my world, you'll see plenty of opportunity to get the magazine.
Wonderful. Congratulations on all these great ventures. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, thank you for being with us. May today be a radiant day for your best health, wealth, and happiness. Join us again, and please review the show, click on the free gifts, and we'll see you next time.